Well, today we're doing a review on a 2024 Kenworth T880. Oh boy, I'm excited. It's a CX-15. I'm just doing a little pre-trip, going over everything. And it is beautiful. There is two of them. This one has not been driven yet, just arrived. Hasn't even been deckled yet. Thought I'd give you a quick rundown, show you what it looks like. We're ready to fire this baby up. Oh boy, I got a new truck. And it is beautiful inside. I love the colors. Fancy. Yeehaw. Oh, wait. Let me find the battery switches. That's better. Holy. Oh yeah, it's got awesome fog lights. Wow, it's kind of the same dash layout as the 2023 Peterbilt. Look at that, look. Better close the little vents. Got some cabinet space. Oh, we got cabinets up here. Wow. We got shelving. Got a cabinet. We got windows. Ooh, we got speakers everywhere. Ooh, it's got a good sound system. I have no idea what this. Oh, this is a TV mount. And if I remember correctly, this one has Starlink in it. Wow, look at all the cool lighting. Wow. This is exciting. Let's close this baby up. So this truck only has 5,262 kilometers on it. It has the curtains that go all the way around the windshield, so this truck should be really nice to sleep in. And we're going to get a load of oil. Oh boy, I get the newest truck in the fleet. That one doesn't count because it's not allowed on the road yet. Yeehaw! Wasn't expecting that this morning. We have 400 trucks and I have the newest one. And already I noticed the turning radius is so much better on this truck than all the other ones. The shifter's pretty stiff, but it is brand new. It hasn't broken in yet. Wow. This is so much fun. I love test driving vehicles. So we'll go and fuel this up and head for the mountains. Maybe I should clean my windshield. And yes, it's an 18 speed. So we're on the road. I just fueled up. Just getting to know the truck. The steering is so nice and tight compared to the old trucks. Like, I've driven the oldest truck they have in the fleet. It is loud as can be. It's got stacks on it. The engine brake is almost non-existent. So to drive one that's got new everything, like even the chains on it are brand new, never been used. What a treat. I love the little stitching in the steering wheel. We have, I haven't figured out the, this thing has Wi-Fi in it. Has the camera system up there. signals are louder than usual for most of the trucks I've driven. Oops. So that means you don't leave it on. The engine brake seems to be really good. Why wouldn't it be? It's brand new. So we're not going to get into fuel mileage because this thing's still breaking in, but I am kind of curious compared to the other trucks I've driven. All right, I have now been in the truck for 3 nights, and I've put almost 1,500 kilometers on this thing. And I filmed a whole lot of footage, like a lot, and I decided to start it all over because I wanted to give you guys a better review of this thing. A little better than in the past, because it takes me a few days to figure out everything in the truck, what I like, what I don't like. So I'm going to flip the camera around, we'll do the interior, and we're going to get a load tonight, so we got some evening driving, some night driving, so we'll get to see what the lights are like, all that kind of stuff. Apparently it's mosquito and horsefly season here right now. It's insane. If I open the door or the window, there's going to be 15 mosquitoes in here. So, kind of affecting a little bit of my filming ability outside, but I want to show you guys the cool things about this interior. So, we'll start with the dash layout. I really like this, this screen. So that's your basic display. Then we can open everything up just by using the little rolly ball here. I don't know what the proper terminology is for it, but and I love this feature. See, on the Peterbilts, the fuel gauge is angled, and I actually always had a tough time reading the tanks levels. So what you have is you have the top one is your first tank, bottom one is your second tank, and it reads them separately. And with the older trucks, doesn't matter if it's Kenworth, Peterbilt, or Western Star, whoever, a lot of times when you're in the mud, the vent line for the fuel tank will get plugged, and it'll start drawing fuel from one tank and not the other, and you'll find that you run out of fuel somewhere and it's still reading you have fuel. So I like that feature a lot. The center one is your DEF, and then we can roll the ball one more time and we get our you know, our brake application and trailer brakes, but you get your suspension load. So it reads the front axle and the rear on the truck. The trailer has its own gauge, so that's nice. And it's just a beautiful layout. Like, everything's super easy to read. This is still the same as it has been in a lot of the other older trucks. You have, your window switches have been moved. I don't know when they did that, but I'm used to them being right here, so you don't have to move your hand when you want to do the windows up and down. You just got to reach a bit. The previous trucks, we've had a lot of issues with these window switches burning out, and your window will roll half down, and then you got a truck coming at you full of dust in a dust storm, and you're trying to get it up and the window won't go up. So it's nice to drive a new truck where everything works. We have 3 visors, which is really nice because at this hour, the direction I'm going to be driving is directly into the sun. And a lot of times the sun will go just past your visor to that middle section and it's shining right in your face. And when your windshield's covered in bugs, it makes it really difficult to see. This windshield is spectacular. I love how big it is. All of the other Kenworths I was driving had the split windshield, which makes it cheaper to replace the glass when it gets cracked. And I get it, trying to save money where you can, but to have really big wipers and a really big windshield is super nice. To clean it, if the particular card lock I stop at doesn't have the long handled squeegees, then I gotta pop the hood, climb up on the tire to clean the windshield. We have the camera system because that's becoming mandatory no matter where you work in Canada. We have the CB radio, Motorola radio is up here. It's pretty high, which is nice because on the gravel roads, this thing starts swinging. So to have it higher is nice. if you have shoulder problems, like I do have a lot of friends that have had shoulder surgeries and are truck drivers, this reach is a little difficult for them. We have curtains. Yeah, and that is so nice for sleeping. It's just wonderful. Excuse me. We have the LED lights working, and it's really nice because it's so bright. And you know, a lot of times it's nighttime when you're doing your paperwork in your truck, and the older trucks, the lighting's just not very good at all. So, big fan of the LED lights. You got shelves, which I keep my sunglasses and my little adapter for the lighters. We have, you got a USB plug in here for your charger. You also have one in the stereo. The stereos are kind of weird and funky to me. Every time I plug my iPhone into it, it wants to reset. So, better to use that. I don't know what it is. I have a very tough time. I have not been able to hook up Bluetooth to this thing at all. And I found that with all these systems in the Kenworth. I don't know why that is. So, I can't give that any type of review because I don't know what the problem is. The doors I like because you have your normal cup holders here with your little pocket, and then the doors each have their own cup holder, which, you know, my bottles of water are quite tall, so it's nice to have that, and they're not in the way of the switches here. Switches are pretty normal. You got your fan, you got, you know, your lockers and your fifth wheel plate. Your PTO's right there. Adjust your fifth wheel plate there. All your backup lights are over here. This is all your interior lighting, one switch. So I do that, turns those on, push it down, and there's red floor lighting underneath here, which is nice. And then your dimmer switch is right here, I figured out. Now, AC is wonderful. The air conditioning is actually so cold that I have to turn it down a lot. And you have vents in the back. Here you have air conditioning controls here. You have stereo controls here. Your lighting controls. You got a USB. You got a lighter plug in. I don't know if I'm missing anything. There might be another switch. You have a little hanger here. You have hangers there for, you know, hanging up your suit. You got your vents in the corners, which I never open because bugs come in there. You got another hanger on this side. You got a TV mount. You have these covers. There you go. For the windows, both sides. And they just are a little plastic thing that just hooks under. Just like that. You can one handle. That is your emergency exit. You hit that thing and you're out of here. You got a pocket here. This bed is wider than all of the beds in the other trucks we have. So you can actually lay on your back, you can roll on each side without having to shuffle. And I love all of the double stitching everywhere. It's a beautiful touch. The cabinets, I haven't used this one. I use this one for my fruit, my protein powder, apples, oranges, bananas, protein powder. Love this, can keep my bag and my dirty laundry out of the way. I have not used that one. I have not used this pocket or this pocket. I use this for all my cleaning supplies and my disinfectant wipes. And the seats. Now both seats are the same, which is really nice. They're both air ride seats. They both have adjustable lumbars. I actually am not familiar with these suspension settings, but I think it's really nice to have the same seat for the passenger as the driver, because a lot of the trucks I've been in, the batteries are underneath there, so the passenger has a really uncomfortable seat. It's usually crammed up closer to the glove box. This one's fully adjustable, so it moves back. You got the armrests, air ride, adjustable lumbar. Your passenger is going to be as comfortable as a driver, which is, you know, that's the way it should be. All right, that's it on the interior. I forgot one detail, the stereo. This has a full surround system with a subwoofer, and it is the best sounding system I've heard in any commercial vehicle to date. So you got speakers in your doors right here. Sorry about the sun. You got speakers back here, and then there's a subwoofer, I believe, under the bed. It's not crazy loud, but it thumps really good. And the reason I had to reshoot is because I was trying to showcase the stereo, and I keep getting copyright because of the song. When I turn the radio on, there's so many country channels up here, it's unbelievable. Probably 90% of the channels up here are country, and I don't listen to country. So, I just wanted to say the sound system is awesome. Really nice feature to have. Thanks, Kenworth. As you can see, the truck is no longer clean and new. I've officially broken this thing in. So we're headed back. I've done 2 loads now. I noticed this keeps coming loose. Well, it is time for liftoff. We gotta go and fuel this baby up again. And then we're on the highway for about 250 kilometers. And I've been watching the gauge. It's been getting around 40 liters to every 100 kilometers when I'm off-roading, and 47 liters to every 100 kilometers when I'm on the highway. But like I said before, this thing is breaking in, so I don't know how much that's going to improve. Up. I put in 390 liters to do this run. I think it's about rough guess 60 to 70 kilometers each way off-road. So what's that? About 140 kilometers off-road, and the rest is highway. And I thought, while we're on the highway, I just want to talk a little bit about what type of trucking I'm doing, living in the truck, that kind of stuff, in case you're new to the channel. You haven't seen what I do before. So I haul oil in northern Alberta. Production oil that goes to the pipelines. After they built all the pipelines, they need to fill it up. So right now, there's thousands of tankers all hauling oil to fill up that pipeline they just built. And what a lot of people don't realize is when we get a pipeline contract, you know, like the Trans Mountain Pipeline, it was a big one. And it's 4 or 5 years of top dollar work where people literally set their lives up. When that's done, you have to fill the pipeline. And now there's 3 years of, you know, fracking, which I know people hate the idea of fracking. But there's all sorts of drill rigs going on and thousands of tankers. And if you were a trucker looking for work, well, they can't find enough drivers up here. And so they are having to resort to hiring a lot of new Canadians, foreign workers who have got a lot less experience, because most guys don't want to come and do this. Now, I live in this truck for days and days. I try to be out here 4 or 5 days at a time before I go back in. And it takes a lot to train your body and get your routine right and still be healthy to do this. My entire 24 hours is about taking care of me. When the truck stops moving, I go to bed. You don't see me ever eating in a restaurant, in fast food places. When the truck stops moving and I'm out of hours, it's bedtime. I'm allowed 13 hours of driving every day with 2 hours of work outside of the truck, which gives you your loading time. And then you have to have 8 hours of off-duty time. Every 70 hours, I have to do a 36-hour reset, which means I'm off for 36 hours. So you're limited for how many hours you can get now because of the regulations. So I do as much as I can, as quickly as I can, and try and be as efficient as I can, and I don't waste any time. When I'm at location and I'm loading, it's about 45 minutes for me to load, and I actually exercise during that. I do push-ups and squats while I'm loading. Every day. You guys doing your push-ups? Nobody ever answers that question. When I first got in this truck and I was empty going to location, I found that the ride of it was pretty rough. But it's brand new. Everything's just settling in, we'll call it. After 3 days of running up and down the gravel roads and potholes and everything, it's starting to feel better. Driving a brand new truck compared to trucks that have 900,000 kilometers is a night and day difference. Like, it is a spectacular difference. What a treat. I have spent a lot of time talking to drivers that are employees of other companies, guys that own their own trucks, owner-operators, because I'm always curious, is it worth having your own truck? Oh, look at that. There's a great big buck. Look at him. Nice. There's a lot of bucks around here. I'm an obscene amount of bucks. But I've talked to some drivers because they have really horrific runs. The roads are really bad. They've said they literally are not making any money. All of their money goes towards servicing mechanics because they don't do the mechanicking themselves. They don't have their own mechanic. And then I've talked to some guys that are doing really well because they have decent highway runs. Some contracts you get paid by the load, some you're paid by the hour. Now, if you're paid by the load and you're an owner-operator doing this run, I'll give you an example. The guy who normally drives this truck, he's crazy clean. He's over the top obsessed because his goal in life is having the nice truck, even though he's just an employee. He just wants to be able to have the nice truck, take it home. That's what makes him feel good. He keeps it absolutely spotless. So if there's any downtime, he's at the car wash cleaning the truck because he's by the hour. And because he's got the nice truck, he takes the long route around instead of taking the mountain roads. Now, when they put me in a truck, I want to get the job done. So I take all the mountain roads. I do lots of off-roading, but I shave 2 hours a day off one way per run. So that's 4 hours to do a complete run for me to get back to location. And if you were doing runs where you're getting paid by the load, well, that means that if I'm shaving 4 hours a day off of my run every fourth day, I get another run in that I wouldn't have. So at the end of the month, that's 6 runs a month by the load. At the end of the year, that's roughly 72 loads that you wouldn't have got because you're taking a different route. 72 extra loads in that year would have paid the truck off. Something to think about when you're wondering, should you become an owner-operator? The route you take and the run you're doing makes all the difference in the world. So let's talk about the power of this truck. It's a CX-15, which means it's probably 515 to 565 horse. I don't believe this is a 565 because the Peterbilt logging truck I was driving is a 565 and it had a noticeable amount more. So I'm not exactly sure on what this one is, but the other things worth noting are the engine brake isn't quite as strong as the older Kenworths that I've been driving, but the older Kenworths are also deleted. So they don't have the DEF stuff because they're all bush trucks. So they might have a little more jam. It's fine on the hills and stuff. It's okay. It's not, you know, a powerhouse. I was speaking to one of the other drivers last night who's driving the Kenworth with the PACCAR in it, and he said it's just gutless as ever. He said the only reason he drives that truck is because it's got the big sleeper and it's got the fridge and the microwave and the nice interior. But he said other than that, it's the PACCAR is night and day difference between the CX-15 and the PACCAR. So power, I think the power is just fine. These days with the cost of fuel, having more power, is it really worth it? I don't really think so. You know, that's why the highway truckers aren't using Peterbilts and Kenworths these days. Everything's about fuel economy. So there's that. I forgot to mention, I did see a post recently. It says in the US they're trying to pass a law, I don't know if it's passed yet or not, that any company caught deleting the DEF systems will get $1 million fine. And of course that's just going to happen here too. I mean, it's inevitable. That's where everything's going. You know, we're under full control in these trucks now. Like, they're all GPS'd. All of our roads are tracked. Even when I'm in the mountain roads, they have, even if the sign says I'm allowed 80 kilometers an hour, our system in the truck says they only want us doing 55 so we don't wreck the trucks. And if you do more than 55, then the camera on the windshield starts talking to you, telling you you're going too fast. And you have a driver score rating in your app that's currently monitoring all your driving. So if I don't stop at a stop sign, even in the mountains, it registers that. If I'm speeding in the mountains, my driver score starts dropping down. And you know, when you have 400 trucks, this is the way to keep your insurance intact, not skyrocketing. So we're all under control now in these trucks. No speeding, no running stop signs, no doing anything outside of your hours. If you are outside of your hours, you get a violation in the app, and that company gets audited. You know, they can go back 6 months, and you all of a sudden you get handed $6,000 or $7,000 in fines. So it's not worth it. That's why I just use cruise control now. Stay right at the speed limits. Stop at every stop sign. There's no going crazy like the old days where you could do 125 hours a week and get that paycheck up there. We're pretty limited. Now here's a prime example of where that visor is really handy. See, look at that. As soon as we come through these trees, and that is where my vision is right now. So, definitely love that feature. At this point, the sun's over here now, and if I move this visor to try and block it, it doesn't really do any good. It literally just catches the top of the window a little bit, and that's it. But, look at that. We are in all of the canola fields. That's where your canola oil comes from. It's just hundreds of miles of canola fields around here. It's really neat to see this time of year. I'm not sure if that's just hay or what. There you go. Fields of yellow as far as the eye can see. funky sky stuff going on. Doing 100 kilometers an hour. I've got it down to 38 liters to every 100 kilometers. And when I get loaded, we'll see where we're at. I think I might have had the stats wrong on the fuel before, but got it down to 38. And I'm willing to bet we'll be, 47, 48 liters for every 100 kilometers when I'm loaded. But we'll check that in a few hours. So this is what we're dealing with. It's 120 to 140 kilometers of gravel road with potholes right now. It's nothing aggressive, nothing crazy. It's just a lot of gravel road and a lot of potholes. If it rains, the drivers with the Super Bs and the drivers with the nice trucks won't take this road because it turns into a soupy mess. It's not something you ever have to chain up for, but they just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to get their trucks dirty. They would rather take the long way around. I myself, I take it almost every time. Unless it's so bumpy that I have to do 20 to 30 kilometers an hour the whole way, then there's no point, because now I'm just causing more damage to the truck. And I'm taking the same amount of time as if I went around on the highway. So, I'm not going to film it all because there's nothing exciting. Unless a great big bull moose runs out on the road in front of me, I'll try and get that. Now, I've been driving, keeping it right in the green in the optimal fuel consumption area. And empty, these are the official numbers now. Empty on the highway, I'm 38 liters for every 100 kilometers, doing 100 kilometers an hour. Off-roading, doing 40 to 45 kilometers an hour. In the optimal fuel range, I'm almost 51 liters for every 100. So I'm not sure why that is, because you'd think I'm going slower. I guess the truck's not working as hard on the highway. But I am in the optimal fuel range, so. And we got the fog lights on. Now these fog lights, they have hooked up so that they come on when your low beams are on. And I'm guessing that's for winter time because they're facing low on the road. They're not really long distance lights. And they have more winter here than summer. And the days will be shorter. It'll be in the darkness more most of the year. So in those snowy days and foggy days, you can see the road better. Alright. Zip it. And then that's our high beams. It's not dark enough to really see. The headlights, because I've been in it for 3 days and know what they're like, they're decent. They're not like, the new Super Duty Ford lights, which are unbelievable. But they're good. They're better than Peterbilt's. All of the lights they've put on this truck, those aren't Kenworth related lights. Those are aftermarket ones when they put the bumper on. And then you have all your lights out back for when you're loading. They're just entry-level lights. I myself would have opted for something better. If you're putting lights on, spend the money, put something awesome on. But better to have them than not. And I just realized that this model doesn't have the big air cleaners on each side. So I can actually see the road more out this window now because you don't have those big tall air cleaners. And it doesn't have all the lights along the bottom of the cab, so when you open the door, the steps aren't all lit up. But the downside to that as well is the only lights that come on at night are these super bright LEDs and the interior lights. So all the bugs rush into your sleep. burned into your cab. Let's see how we do in a dust storm with these lights. Yeah, I guess they do their job. You'll find these bumps get so bad that it knocks the gear shift out of gear and into neutral while you're driving a lot. Doesn't matter which truck you're driving, it happens. I mentioned that the truck has Starlink and Wi-Fi. So Kenworth has a Wi-Fi system that the company has paid for, and I never even bothered to ask for the password because I don't really watch movies or anything. So I don't waste my time on internet when I'm out here. And the Starlink, the guy who normally drives this, he has Starlink at home and pays their base package of, I think it's $156.80 with tax a month for your Starlink. And then for an extra $90 a month, he gets the mobile Starlink that he can bring in the truck with him. And then on his days off, he takes it home with him. So, he said he likes to lay in bed and watch movies. I don't get that. I don't know how you have time to watch movies on this job, but anyway, yeah, it works everywhere, all over the mountain. He gets internet no matter where he is. And those of you wondering about Starlink, it's spectacular. I have it at home. I don't use normal internet anymore. I only use Starlink. And I don't have to call anybody if I decide I'm moving, if I want to take it with me. You know, you can literally hook onto your trailer, head for the hills, and take it with you. It won't work while your vehicle's moving, but wherever you go, as soon as you're parked, it'll work. You got to get the other mobile unit if you want to use it while you're moving. All right, it's time to get loaded. We got the big candle. Now, I do like this setup. I like how your hydraulic tank and fan are a little higher up and out of the way from all the mud. That way the fan's not getting plugged with mud. And we don't have to touch anything here. I got my hose hooked up. Now how this is going to work is, don't have a light. We have 3 valves here. They all pull from different levels of this tank. We're pulling from 9 feet high to avoid any water coming in our tank. Then there's, the bottom one, which you're going to get a whole lot of crap. So, now this oil is 85 to 90 degrees temperature-wise. So it's going to run in the hose. We're going to open this lever. And then it's going to run into that one there, which is the front tank, and there'll be another one behind here, which is the rear tank. This is our front sump, that's our rear sump. These are the vents. Right now, I'm going to load 32 cubes, and this tank is basically split down the middle. It's 2 tanks, so I'm going to do 16 cubes on each side. And while I'm loading, the whole battle is to keep the mosquitoes off me. Those little bastards, even with all the windows closed, somehow they crawl into the sleeper at night when you're sleeping. So I actually have to sleep all covered up my sleeping bags, and I turn the air conditioning on so that it's blowing on my face and I'm getting fresh air right into my face, because I actually inhaled one the other night. But right now, they're just swarming. It is absolutely brutal dealing with these little bastards. It's pine beetles, horseflies, and mosquitoes. Ugh. So this is my temporary solution. Just put my earbuds in so they're not going in my ears, and cover my eyes, because they're actually trying to bite my eyes right now. So we want to get loaded as quick as we can and get the hell out of here. It's quite a place. We are now loaded and we are getting 64.6 liters every 100 kilometers. That's what we're burning now. And might as well show you guys what it looks like at night. Here's the red lights. See, it's a nice layout. Really like it. So I figure I might as well take you to where I'm going to unload. We're going to Secure Energy. And probably going to get there about 4 in the morning, sometime like that. That's the thing on this job when you're doing 15-hour days. You start off with the intention of hoping to be on days. Within 3 nights you're on nights, just because your nights get longer and you get later in the night. Next thing you know, you're on nights and sleeping in the days, and about 2 days later you'll be back on days. That's why when the truck stops rolling I go to bed. And if I was to go back to the motel every night, slipped out of gear while I was driving. If I was to go back to the motel every night, well, that's an hour of warming up my truck, getting all my stuff into it, getting into the hotel, getting settled there, and then an hour in the morning to get back. So that's an extra 2 hours a day that I'm losing when I can just sleep in the tanker out here for 4 or 5 days and save myself an extra 2 hours a day. So I just woke up. I had to pull over at 3 in the morning. I was tired, have a little snooze. And it's 8:30 and we're rolling again. And when we're loaded with a full load, this thing's getting burning 89 liters for every 100 kilometers. On a hill. On the flats for about 80 liters every 100 kilometers. So when I'm going up a long hill, that's 890 milliliters of fuel for every kilometer. That's almost a liter a kilometer. I didn't realize how much fuel I'm burning every day until I can actually monitor it on the dash. I just don't think about it. I put 400, 500, sometimes almost 550 liters in it, and I drive. But to see it on your dash, how much you're burning, that's quite something. We have arrived. I pulled in here 2 days ago, and there were so many super trains waiting to unload. There was well over 1 million liters of oil in this parking lot waiting to get unloaded. They're building up. There's a few here already. So I've already unloaded, and I can't film the unloading procedure because where I'm at, they don't allow filming here, and if anything happened I need to be on top of it, so I have to be focused. But the unloading procedure isn't really any different than what I showed you about loading. It's just move the lever in a different direction. As for the Kenworth, I've now got around 2,000 kilometers on it. I've been in it a few nights, and the seats, really comfortable seats. I've had no back pain at all. The layout of the cab and the sleeper I absolutely love. It's wonderful to drive. For the job I'm doing, where I'm in it for 4 or 5 days at a time, and then I go and stay at my motel because they provide me with a motel, and it's there whenever I want to go back. It's the perfect size for what I'm doing. If I was going to live in this thing for 2 and 3 weeks at a time, I would want the bigger sleeper with the fridge and the microwave and all that kind of stuff. But for what I'm doing, it's perfect. And I don't think I'd change a thing about it. It's an awesome machine. And I love Kenworths. We have so many Kenworths up here. It's crazy because of the off-road conditions. A lot of companies stick with Kenworth. And by just sticking with that one supplier, all of your parts are the same for all your trucks, which makes sense. So Kenworth, thanks for building an awesome truck. You guys, thanks for watching. And I might be in another one shortly. I'm waiting to get into a Super B. We'll see when that happens. But thanks for watching.